All right, we're on. Okay, so today's theme is from the cliches, and these are ways to overcome obstacles. So I often talk about the yamas and niyamas, which are suggestions for how to live a happier life, and aparigraha, which is non-attachment. That is one of the things that we talk about a lot, and being not attached to things in your life, etc. But this goes a little bit deeper. This is raga, and raga means not just not being attached, but not being attached to the really easy, simple things in life, the things that you really love. And they can be the really easy things that you love, just certain habits, etc. So I thought that was really a, a, a really nice, appropriate appropriate cliche to work with today, just because our lives have been turned upside down and we're being forced to figure out how to do new things with our lives and not be attached to certain things that we really, really have enjoyed in the past, even the little things. It can really throw everything out of balance when even the tiny little things get pulled out of your life that you're used to. So the way I'm going to theme this in my class today is we're going to do some different stuff. Some of the things that you do in your yoga practice consistently, maybe starting with sun salutations, that type of thing. We're going to change it up a little bit and just make you pay a little bit closer attention to the things that you are used to in your yoga class, and see if we can change it enough so that you can just see it in a different light, essentially. So we're going to get started and take some nice deep breaths. So from here, we're actually going to start at the top of your mat, but we're going to start without the sun salutation right now. And we're going to take our legs pretty wide. I wouldn't go super wide. So a lot of the times when we go for a prasarita paratanasana, the ankles are below the wrist, and I want you to go a little bit more narrow here. So once you go a little bit more narrow, turn your feet in. But if your feet, when you do this, if your knees, when you do this, start feeling kind of grumpy, then you can turn your feet out a little bit to make them feel a little bit better. So just pay attention to your knees and see if you feel any tension in your knees. And if you do, move your feet slightly different directions. So what we're going to do now is take the arms up on the inhale. Squeeze your legs together as if you're squeezing a block. And then stretch over to your right hand side. So we often do this stretch with our legs a lot closer together. And we're going to go ahead and just see the difference with our legs a little bit wider today. Take another deep breath here. And inhale, come on up. And then exhale to the other side. All right, come on up again on the inhale. Now take your right hand to your right thigh. Lift up tall and slide down the right leg. And if your neck doesn't feel comfortable, look up towards your left hand. That'll put a nice neutral curve in your neck. So you're not just sliding down the leg. That leg is actually resisting and lifting up against your hand a little bit. All right, bring that left hand to your hip and then inhale, come on up. Let's go for the other side. Right arm up, left hand to the thigh, lift and slide down the left leg. Find a spot that works. Resist with the left leg, lift the left leg up into your hand, and then look up towards your right hand. All right, and then inhale, come on up, and bring your hands to your hips. Now, toe heel in. Get your legs back underneath you. We're going to do a little bit of warming up of the outer hips here. So it's going to look kind of like a funny little jaunt. So you're going to lift your right leg up and take it out to the side. Right toes are pointing straight forward. And you're going to bring that leg back down. And then lift your left leg up, left toes pointing forward, and then bring it down. And then just keep breathing. You don't have to breathe in a specific way. Just make sure your breath is even, consistent. You're just going to keep going from leg to leg, side to side. You can go faster if you want to, or slower, so just sort of play with it. Maybe a little higher if you want to. And faster you go, you probably won't go that high. You'll start feeling more of those outer hips though. So what you're going for is just using those outer hip muscles. And if you're sitting a lot, as many of us are right now, while we're stuck at home, these are great muscles to be warming up here. We'll be doing some hip openers with them as well. This is a great way to engage and strengthen. So do a few more to each side. Just notice the heat that's building up here. But one more to each side. Okay, nice. Take a moment and rest and just feel those muscles. Feel the burn. All right, and then come on up to the front of your mat. And we're gonna go for sun salutation C. So we're gonna go backwards. Usually I go sun A, sun B, sun C. We're gonna start with C just to mix it up and make you pay attention to the things you're attached to. So take the arms up on the inhale, look up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, stretch forward and look forward. Exhale, step your left leg back. Take the arms up on the inhale. And exhale. Hands down to the ground. Step back, lift your left leg toward the sky. Zip up the low belly. Relax your neck a little bit. Gently shake out your head, nod your head, make sure the neck is relaxed. Try to roll the shoulders onto your back. And on your next exhale, bring that left knee up into your chest, then step it forward. Take your time. Come on up on the inhale. And big exhale. Hands down to the ground. Lift your back knee up and step it forward. Inhale. Exhale, fold. Inhale, take it to the sky. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, stretch forward. Exhale, step your right leg back and drop your back knee. Take the arms up on the inhale. Exhale, hands to the ground. Step back. Lift your right leg toward the sky. Again, see if you get a little bit of a lift in your armpits and roll the shoulder onto your back. Relax the neck a little bit. Zip up your low belly. On your exhale, bring that right knee forward and step it forward. Take the arms up on the inhale. And exhale. Hands down to the ground. Lift your back knee up. Inhale, step forward and reach your heart forward. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come up. And exhale, arms to the sides. Take the arms up again on the inhale. Exhale, fold. Inhale, stretch forward. Exhale, step your left leg back. All right, bring your arms to the inside of your right leg. Take a moment here and reach your heart forward. So you're just trying to keep your spine nice and long. Drag your right heel and left knee toward each other. Pull to the midline. We're going to try to go a little bit deeper here just to get the hip to open up. So this is where a block can be handy. You're going to turn your right toes out about 45 degrees to the right. And then you may even want to peel your right foot up off the floor and come to the pinky edge of your right foot. And then if you're a little tight here, you may just stay here. This can be pretty big, just opening up the hip like this. But if you feel like going a little deeper, you can bring your forearms to a block, or you can bring your forearms to the ground. So we're just trying to open up this right hip, get some external rotation. Breathe deeply. Keep your heart open, chin up. Take about 2 more big breaths. All right, and then slowly turn everything forward, lift your back knee up, step back, and lift your left leg toward the sky. So another little hip opener. You're gonna open up the hip, stack your left hip on top of your right hip, bend the knee, press the left heel toward the right hip, and then lift your left knee a little higher. You'll notice that your shoulders start dumping a little bit. This right armpit drops down. So make sure that you're lifting your right armpit up a little bit. Try to get your shoulders level. All right, now let's do a couple little crunches for the belly strengthening. So come forward, bring your left knee toward the back of your left arm. See if you can touch. You don't need to touch, just see if you can. And then inhale back behind you again. And then exhale, come forward again. See if you can touch your forehead and your knee together. So a little rounding at the back. And then inhale, extend back again. And then try to touch the back of your right arm. And this next one is going to be the same feeling here, but we're going to stick the leg out. So inhale, extend back behind you. And then exhale, bring that left knee forward and see if you can swing the knee toward the right arm and then extend the left leg out to the right. Bring the pinky edge of your left foot to the ground. Turn your right toes out a little bit so your right foot is flat on the ground and take that right arm toward the sky. And then if you're feeling pretty strong, put some more weight into that right foot and see if you can lift your left leg up off the ground. All right, right hand back down the ground. Extend back one more time, big inhale. And then exhale, lunge your left leg forward. All right, take a moment here. Same thing, we're gonna go for a hip opener on this side. So if you're feeling tight, hands are gonna stay on the ground. You might wanna go forearms to a block or go a little deeper. Turn your left toes out to the left a little bit. You may even peel that left foot up off the ground so you're on the pinky edge of your foot. Reach your heart forward, breathe deeply. Big breaths. Just feel those tight spots there. There are probably a couple. All right. Turn everything forward. Lift your back knee up. Big inhale and step your right leg forward. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come all the way up to the sky. And exhale, fold forward again. Inhale, stretch forward. Exhale, step your right leg back. Drop your back knee. All right, let's do a little bit of a shoulder opener this time. So you're going to take your hands behind you. And then if you're really tight in the shoulders, you're going to keep your elbows a little bit bent. Roll the shoulders onto your back. Look up toward the sky. You can start drawing the shoulders down your back and maybe straightening the arms as you draw your fist down, but pay attention to the elbows. Sometimes the elbows get hyperextended and you can feel the pull in the elbows. So if you're feeling a little bit too much tug, bend the elbows a little bit. All right, hands down to the ground. Step back. Lift your right leg toward the sky. And then open up the hip, bend the knee. Make sure your shoulders stay level, so a little bit of a lift under that left armpit. See if you can press that right heel a little closer to the left hip and keep lifting the right knee. All right, let's add in a little bit of that core stuff. So we're trying to challenge the ease of our posture, right? Bring that right knee in, try to touch the back of the right arm. Exhale, inhale, take it back behind you. And exhale, bring it back forward, forehead to the knee. And inhale back behind you. And try to touch the back of the left arm. And inhale back behind you. And now swing it through, right knee to the left arm, and then swing it out, straighten up that right leg with the pinky edge of your right foot on the ground. Drop your back heel so your left foot's flat on the ground. Take your left arm toward the sky. If you feel like You want to challenge yourself a little bit more. Put some more weight into that left leg, left foot. See if you can get that right leg off the ground. No need. So if you feel like you're pretty challenged already, you can skip that last bit. Bring that right foot back down on the ground. Extend back behind you. Big inhale. And then exhale. Lunge it forward. Drop your back knee. Interlace your fingers with the non-dominant grip. Roll the shoulders onto your back. All right, plant the hands on the ground. Lift your back knee up. Step it forward. Inhale, stretch forward. Exhale, hinge at the hips. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, arms to the sides. All right, take a moment, just notice how you feel. And part of this is coming back to that raga. Did this really annoy you? That you weren't doing something really familiar? Or that you were doing something a little bit harder? All right, take the arms up on the inhale again, look up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, stretch forward. Exhale, step your left leg back. All right, let's do some more familiar things. So you're gonna take your left arm up and over, stretch over to your right. Look up towards your left hand. Let's go for the twist. Take the left arm to the outside of your right leg. Lift your belly and rib cage up and twist to the right a little bit more, and then bring your hands together. Lengthen your heart forward and your tailbone back so your spine gets a little longer. And then possibly push into that back foot and see if you can get your back knee off the ground. It might go straight, it might stay pretty close to the ground. As it goes higher, this outer right hip gets a little bit more length. So if you're really tight there, you may not end up getting that left knee up too high. Don't forget to breathe. And twist. Back down to the ground. Step your right leg back. Lift your left leg toward the sky. Open up the hip, bend the knee. All right, you can stay here. This is a great place to hang out. But if you want to flip your dog, there's a chance to do that. So if you want to flip, lift your right heel up high, pivot the toes to the left, bend that right leg, flip it over, look at your left hand. You can go a little deeper by placing the left hand behind the head and pressing your head into your left hand, creating a little bit more back bend. And flip it back over again. Lunge your left leg forward, and we're going to come up into a high lunge this time. So take the arms up. Once you're here, you're going to drop that right knee. It doesn't have to go all the way to the ground. Just see where you can drop it so you get a little bit of a quadricep stretch here. Then inhale, come back up. And then exhale, drop. Inhale, back up. 3 more. All right, now we're going to go into warrior 3, which may be really difficult if you're feeling a little fatigued in this standing leg. So take your weight forward. You can come right into it or do a couple little hops with that back foot. See if you can find a warrior 3. Arms out in front is really tough. So if you need a little extra balance, arms out to the sides. You can also take your arms back behind you. So play with it. All right, put a little bend in that standing leg and inhale, come on up. Take the arms up, exhale, fold forward. Inhale, stretch forward. Exhale, step your right leg back. All right, let's go for the twist on the left side. So from here, take that right arm up, stretch over to your left. Take the twist, right arm to the outside of the left leg. Lift your belly up, rib cage up. Twist the left a little bit more. Take a moment and lengthen your spine. Stick out your tailbone, look over your left shoulder. And then if it seems appropriate, flip your back toes over. See if you can get that back knee up, possibly up a little higher. Don't forget to breathe. right, hands to the ground, step back. Lift your right leg toward the sky. Open up the hip and then bend the knee. Lift that left armpit up so your shoulders are level. Again, you can stay right here. There's so much good happening here. If you want to flip your dog, lift your left heel up high, turn your toes to the right, bend your left leg a little bit, bring it over. Look at your right hand. Maybe take that right hand to the back of your head and push your head back into your hand. All right, flip it back over again. All right, we're gonna come into that high lunge rather than your regular lunge. Look up, bring that right knee into your chest and step it forward. Come on up, drop your shoulders. Right knee roughly over the ankle. We're gonna take 5 little drops to get that quadricep area open. Exhale, drop your knee, left knee. Inhale, come on up. Exhale, drop. Inhale, come up. 3 more. And last one. All right, the challenge, come into warrior 3. So again, one big swoop or a couple little hops here with that back foot, and then hinge at the hips. Maybe put a little bend in your right knee if you're feeling some tugging back there. Arms out in front. You can go out to the sides. You can go behind you. Lots of options. All right, and then come on up to inhale. Ooh, and then exhale, arms to the sides. Beautiful. All right, take the arms up on the inhale, look up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, stretch forward. Sun salutation A, step back. Press forward, lower all the way down to your belly. Once you're on your belly, roll your shoulders onto your back. Walk your hands back a little bit more behind the shoulders, possibly in line with your chest or waist. Stretch out the legs. Roll your pubic bone toward the ground. Really try to plant your pelvis and pubic bone into the ground. And then roll the shoulders onto your back again and come on up. So this is Cobra. And with Cobra, the shoulders tend to dump forward here. So it's most important to roll the shoulders onto your back. And if that means your elbows are a little bent, that's okay. Keep lifting your chest, lift your chin, extend your legs. Roll your pubic bone toward the ground. Zip up the belly. And again, a little bend in the elbows is fine. Try to keep the shoulders from rolling forward and hunching up around your ears. And then we're going to go for child's pose. So press back for a moment, find your child's pose. And notice how attached you are to this child's pose. So usually it's 2 categories that people fall into. Either it's the, are we really taking a break? I want more, the type A personalities. And then there are the people who are like, oh, thank God, we're back in child's pose. I can take a rest. So whichever one that is, take a moment and figure out what you're attached to, right? All right, look up at your hands. Come to all fours. We're gonna do a couple little cat-cows. So you're gonna inhale, lengthen your toe back and your heart forward. Exhale, round the back. Tuck your chin, tuck your tailbone. Inhale again, lengthen out. Exhale, round the back. Keep pressing into your toenails. 3 more of these. And then last one. All right, turn this into a down dog. Take your right leg up toward the sky. Look up and lunge your right leg forward. Take your time. Put that back heel down and then inhale into warrior 1. All right, so for warrior 1, we're going to go a little bit deeper into those hips. This is where a block can be handy. So you're going to take your hands down to the ground to the inside of your right leg. If your right thigh is not perfectly parallel, you may want to slide that left foot back a little bit. You don't have to get to perfect, but just see if you can put some more space between your feet. And then you're going to squeeze your left foot and your right foot toward each other, kind of pull them toward each other on the mat. And then you're going to walk over to the left side of your mat. Once you're there, firm up this inner left thigh. It tends to kind of dangle off the thigh bone. Firm it up, stick your tailbone out for a moment, and then tack your outer right buttock around towards your inner left thigh, still firming up this inner left thigh as well. All right, walk it back to the center. Drop your back knee. Turn your right toes out and actually walk your right foot off the mat a little bit. So your right toes would be pointing out to about 3 o'clock. Then lift your back knee up, and this can be fine here. This is a lot of work for many of us. But we're going to kind of try to turn this into a side plank. So keep pushing through this right foot. Come to the pinky edge of your left foot. Keep pushing into that right foot. Take your right arm toward the sky. And then a little bit of a back bend. You're going to bring your right hand to the back of your head and push your head back into your right hand. Claw the ground with your left finger so it's not all on the wrist. All right, and then bring that right hand back down the ground. Step your right leg back. Walk it out a little bit. Let's try it for the other side. Lunge your left leg forward. Drop your back heel. Come into warrior one. So you're in your warrior one. Drag your feet toward each other on the mat. We're going to try to go a little bit deeper. So you're going to take your hands down. Again, you can use your block here if you don't feel comfortable getting your hands to the ground. Slide your right foot back a little bit so you can get your left thigh a little closer to parallel. Once you have a little bit more space between the legs, drag your feet toward each other. Firm up the center right thigh. Lift it up against the thigh bone. All right, we're going to walk over to this right corner. You can take your block with you if you're using it. Keep firming up the inner right thigh. Stick your tailbone out for a moment, and then tack your outer left buttocks around towards your inner right thigh. So tack it around, wrap your outer glute around towards your inner right thigh. Keep firming up this inner right thigh. Keep breathing. All right, side plank. Walk it back to the center. Plant your right hand below your right shoulder. Turn your right toes forward. Walk your left foot off the mat so that your left foot's pointing out to about 9 o'clock. Come to the pinky edge of your right foot. Claw the ground. Take your left arm toward the sky. Squeeze your inner thighs together. Take that left hand to the back of your head and push your head back into your hand. All right, left hand back down to the ground. Step back to down dog. Walk it out. Take a child's pose if you want it. Relax your neck. Look up, lunge your right leg forward. Again, take your time getting into the lunge. Drop your back heel. Inhale, come on up. And then open up for warrior two. All right, so warrior two. Drop your shoulders, lift your triceps. Make sure your triceps aren't dangling off of your arm bones here. Look straight down your middle right finger. We're going to add a little bit of core into this posture. So first thing we're going to do, though, is just get into the posture. Turn the palm of the right hand up toward the sky and come into exalted warrior. Make sure your right leg has not started to straighten on you. All right, Parsvakonasana. Bring your right forearm to your right thigh or your hand to the ground, up to you. Take that left arm and stretch it toward the front of your mat. And then maybe look up towards your left hand. All right, come back up. Straighten up your front leg for a moment. So we're going to do triangle. Reach through that right hand side. Take the right hand down to the leg. Take your left arm toward the sky. So it really just depends on your flexibility here. As you squeeze your legs together and push down through your back heel and the ball of your front foot, you should have a little bit of a curve here in your low back. Stick your tailbone out. Zip up your low belly. that right arm and lift it up. Don't forget to breathe. All right, now bring your hands to your hips and inhale, come on up. So we're gonna do this one more time, another core thing. So go ahead and come into warrior two. And instead of this regular exalted warrior, you're gonna bring your hands behind your head. Once you have your hands behind your head, press your head back into your hands and then lift your right elbow up toward the sky and drop your left elbow. Make sure your right knee stays bent. All right, come back up and then bring your right elbow down. See if you can hook it to the inside of your right leg and twist your belly and your rib cage toward the ceiling. But if you're not quite that low and you're up down, you know, about 6 inches to a foot above your leg, that's okay too. All right, pinwheel your hands down to the ground. Let's do a child's pose. Step your right leg back, knees wide, take a moment, take a break. Breathe deeply. Core postures. Core postures take a little work. And they often make us kind of grumpy, even though we know it's good for us. So I love putting core postures into a practice that focuses on being attached to the easy things, right? Because it's not easy. All right, so go ahead and find a down dog again. And let's go for the other side. Right heel pivots and plants. Left foot lunges forward. Take your time getting that left foot up there. Inhale, warrior one. And then open up for warrior two. So again, warrior two, left foot lines up roughly with the heel or arch of your back foot. Left knee is over the ankle. You should be able to see your big toe when you look down. When you take your arms out, make sure your arm bones, your arm muscles are lifting against the arm bones. Try to drop the shoulders. All right, let's go into exalted warrior. Turn the palm of the left hand up toward the sky. Try to make sure that left leg doesn't start straightening on you. Right leg, right hand. All right, come back up and forearm to the thigh. Take that right arm and stretch it over your head and look up toward your right hand. And then if you want to go a little deeper, if your left thigh is roughly parallel to the ground, you might want to take your hand down to a block or down to the ground. Gently twist your rib cage toward the ceiling. Zip up the low belly. All right, come back up. Straighten up that front leg for triangle. Keep that left knee rolled out so the knee lines up with the middle 3 toes. Extend through that left side. Bring your left hand down to the leg somewhere. Take the right arm toward the sky. Look over your right shoulder. Push down through your back heel. Press down through the ball of your front foot. Stick your tailbone out a little bit. Get a little bit of a curve in the low back. Lift with that right arm, and you may want to experiment and take that left arm up. All right, hands to the hips. Inhale, come on up. Let's come into a warrior two again. Bend the knee. Take the hands out, hands to the back of the head, and then you're going to lift your left elbow up and drop your right elbow for an exalted warrior variation. And come on up, and then come down the other direction. So maybe your elbow is nowhere close to your leg, and that's okay. If you can get a little deeper, you can hook that left arm to the inside of the leg, gently push back into the leg and help you twist a little bit more toward the ceiling. Zip up the belly and breathe. All right, pinwheel your hands down to the ground. Step your left leg back. Let's go for a child's pose. Take a moment and rest and breathe. All right, we're gonna go for dancer pose and eagle pose, and we're gonna come back to the ground. So 2 balancing poses. So come to all fours, flip your toes over, find a downward dog. Look up, inhale, step forward. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come all the way up. And exhale, hands in your heart center. And just take a moment here as well. Okay, so dancer pose. If you have tight quads, grab a strap. So you're gonna spread your toes out on your left foot, grab the top of your right foot, stretch your right knee toward the ground. If you cannot grab the top of your right foot comfortably, then put a strap around your right foot, right ankle, and you'll essentially press your right knee toward the ground. So a quick demonstration. And if your balance is off, you can always put your left hand on the wall. So here's my strap, stretching my right knee toward the ground and getting a nice quad stretch to the front, so you don't have to have your foot anywhere close to your hip in order to get a quad stretch. And then keep stretching that right knee toward the ground, zip up the belly a little bit, make sure it's engaged, and then you're gonna take your left arm toward the sky, or up the wall if you're using the wall for a little extra balance. From here, this is great, you can stay here, but if you wanna go a little deeper, you can grab the inside of your right foot, keep stretching your right knee down, lift your heart, and then press that right foot into the right hand. Notice how my torso is still trying to lift upward though. So it's not terrible to hinge forward. It's just that you're not using your core very much. You're really just relying on the hips. So keep lifting the belly, pulling the front ribs in, pushing that right foot into the hand. See if you can bring your right rib cage forward a little bit. Doesn't have to be perfectly squared up, but just be aware that you may not be squared up. All right, let that go. Spread your toes out on your right foot. Let's go for the other side. Again, if you want to use your wall, use your wall. And then from here, grab the top of your left foot or use your strap. Stretch your left knee toward the ground so the front of this thigh, the quadriceps area, is getting nice and long. Zip up your low belly. Or if you want to go a little bit deeper, you're going to grab the inside of the foot, lift your spine more, lift your heart more, and push your left foot into your left hand. Squeeze your legs into the midline. See if you can bring your left rib cage forward a little bit more. Don't forget to breathe. And then come on out of it. Okay, eagle pose. So, plenty of us have difficulty with eagle pose. I have really bulky thighs, and really bulky calves, so sometimes your bulk just gets in the way. So don't feel like you have to do something that's really beautiful. What you're working on is just getting a hip opener, essentially. So you're gonna put your block to the left side of your foot. I'll go ahead and face forward on this one. Block is to the left side of your foot. And then you're gonna bend this left leg generously. Take your right leg as high as you can and bring it over your left thigh. So if you're tight, or if you feel bulky or whatever's going on, you might just want to put that right foot on the block. So this is great. And then you're going to soften back from your inner knees to your groin and gently push your knees out against each other. And you'll start feeling some outer hip stretch. If you want to take it a little bit deeper, then you can go right leg, right foot to the calf and maybe even wrap it around the back of the calf. Don't feel like you have to go there. Then arms out, so you're super tight in the shoulders, which many of us are. Forearms together is great. You don't even have to do the bind with the arms. Just forearms together, elbows up to about chin level. You'll feel a lot happening through the shoulders. If you get a little bit more flexibility, right arm is going to come under the left arm, and then maybe bring the palms of the hands together. So wherever you are is fine. And then start with elbows at about chin level, and then as you come into this posture, you may want to slightly sink down. And this is called nesting eagle for some, and see if you can bring those elbows toward the knees. So you'll feel a bigger shoulder stretch as you try to pull the elbows down. And you're going to keep pressing those knees out slightly and softening back from the inner knees to the groin. And usually You feel this right on this outer IT band, outer hip. Should feel a little bit on both hips, but that standing leg tends to feel it the most. All right, come on out of it and let's go for the other side. All right, if you're using the block, put it over to the right side. Spread your toes out, bend your right leg. You're gonna take your left leg up as high as you can and cross it over the right leg. Put that foot on the ground and then maybe wrap it around if that seems appropriate. Take the arms out, bring your forearms together. If this feels like a pretty intense stretch through the back of the shoulders, stick with this. If you feel like you need more, left elbow under the right elbow, back of the hands together, or wrap the palms of the hands together. And then to get a little bit more intensity in this, you may want to start bending your knees more, softening your inner knees back towards your groin, pressing your outer knees out against each other, and maybe dropping your elbows towards your knees. So your choice where you go with this. Don't forget to breathe. All right, and then come on up and release, and let's come to the ground. All right, let's go to child's pose first. Take the arms up on the inhale. Exhale, fold. Inhale, stretch forward. Exhale, step it back. Find a child's pose. All right, so we're gonna go for pigeon first. So I always offer 2 variations of pigeon depending on your knees. You've got your more familiar pigeon, which is right leg forward. Walk it over to the left hand or left hip. The left hip if you're less open in the right hip. And then you can take this block and place this under your forehead. So the left leg is pretty extended. You're tightening up the top of your left thigh so that your left knee doesn't dig in the ground. Great place to hang out. And we're gonna also give you this other option here. So if you have knees that don't bend so well, you're going to cross that right ankle just below the left knee on the thigh. Bring that left leg in. You can use a strap around the back of your left thigh or left shin, or you can grab either thigh or shin with your hands. And then pull those toes back toward the knee and gently press the knee out to the side. So you can often kind of press your right elbow into your inner right thigh, and that'll help push that right knee out to the side a little bit. If you're going to apply a little bit of pressure to help that knee go out, don't push your hand against your knee. Your hand can be close to your hip because you're trying to get the hip to open, not the knee, right? So if you're going to apply pressure, press your elbow into your thigh or your hand into your hip crease. Keep the pressure off the knee. And then if you're on your back, you can always add in a little bit of rocking back and forth, which I find to be very informative. You start noticing exactly where the tight spots are in your right hip. And then if you're on your front side, you're really just trying to make sure that your weight is evenly distributed between your hips. So I'll give you a little example of what I want you to avoid doing. If you're tight in that right hip, so I'll show from the front here. If you're tight in that right hip and you're not really noticing, a lot of people kind of sink into your right side. So all the weight is on that right side there. So if it's hard to get your weight into the center, it probably means you need to take that right foot back towards your left hip a little bit more and point those toes and try to get your weight more evenly distributed in the center here. There are some people who go to the other side, and I find that that usually is the more flexible people, like overly flexible. So just make sure your weight is in the center and not sinking over to that right side. As you get more open in this right hip, that's where your right foot will come forward more and more and more. But you got to be open first, so don't force it. Figure out where you can maintain your equilibrium here. And then as you breathe and as you get better at this, your right foot can come forward a little bit more. Your shin can be more parallel to the front of your mat. All right, let's do a twist. So if you're on your front side, you can use your block. This is really a nice way to do it. You can put your head on the block. So you'll take your left arm underneath here, forearm on the ground, twist. This is a great way to go here, just twisting gently, zipping at the low belly. If you're a little bit more flexible, you can bring your shoulder to the ground and bring your head to the block. And then you can bring your hands together and look over your right shoulder. If you're on your back, you have a couple options as well. So you can simply drop your right foot to the ground, which is a really nice, gentle twist. If you want something a little bit more intense, then you can do those eagle legs that we did earlier. So slide the legs closer together and close that gap between the legs. And then you can drop your knees, or you can also wrap the right foot behind the left calf and drop the knees. And if you're on your back, look over your right shoulder. There's a little bit of a tendency here, if you're on your back, to tuck your butt under and get too much of a posterior tilt. So if you're doing that, stick your tailbone out a little bit and get a little bit of a curve in your low back and zip up your low belly. All right, let's go for the other side. So if you're on your back, do a happy baby dead bug. If you're on your front side, do a down dog. And let's go for the other side. So from here, cross your left ankle over. Again, if you're on your back, you can use your strap, grabbing the back of your thigh, front of your shin, or maybe you've got the length in your arms to get all the way around. So nice breaths, maybe rocking from side to side a little bit. Don't forget to breathe. And then on the front side, just make sure that you're not dipping over to one side more than the other. Tighten up this right thigh, the quadriceps. That'll keep your knee from digging into the ground. It also helps that left hip. So anytime you engage the other leg on the other side, the hip stretch is a little bit more, I wouldn't call it easy, but it's a little bit more stabilized, essentially. You get a better hip stretch in the right places. So big breathing. Zip up the low belly. Keep your breath strong. Check in with your low belly. Zip up that low belly a little bit. All right, add in your twist. So legs, if you're on your back, legs are going to drop over to the right. If you're on your front, gently twist, maybe right forearm on the ground. If you'd like to go a little bit deeper, then you can bring your head to your block and bring your shoulder to the ground. So keep that breath strong wherever you are. All right, and then slowly come out of this, either a downward dog or happy baby dead bug. All right, we're gonna do 2 1-minute planks, and I did not think to get my timer and put it over here. So roughly 20 breaths is about a minute. For some people, it just depends on the length of your breath. Some people it's 15 breaths if you really have a deep, long breath. So we're gonna count to 20 and we're gonna do 2 planks here. And what I want you to do is have a block right under either your low belly or your pelvis. And the reason why is most of us tend to kind of sink a little bit in the low back and not really use the core correctly. And if you're just kind of hovering over the block, not only is this great, if you get fatigued, you can just put your hips or your low belly on the block and just take a breath or a moment, but it gives you a little bit more alignment. So a lot of people, when they do planks, they're up here, their butt is up, or they're like really sunk down. So if you've got a block right under your hips here, you're not gonna sink down too low and you're not gonna get that strain on your low back. So put a block there just as a reminder. And then you're gonna bring your forearms in front of you, elbows under your shoulders, interlace the fingers, flip those toes over and press through the heels as if you're pressing into a wall with your heels. And then let's go for 20 breaths here. So when you're ready, lift the hips up off the block, like half an inch, you may even just be barely touching. Keep using those legs. Relax your shoulders, sink your chest down a little bit between the shoulders, lift your chin, reach your heart forward. All right, drop your knees, walk it back, take a moment in child's pose. Notice how you're getting really attached to the child's pose. And then let's go ahead and do another 1 minute plank. So again, if you've got your block, it's a nice way to gauge where you are if you've got that block right under your hips or right under your low belly. Not necessary, just kind of keeps you aligned. And then forearms parallel, or you can clasp your hands. Flip your toes over, press your heels back as if you're pressing into a wall with your heels. Reach your heart forward, see if you can sink your chest down between your shoulders. So your shoulders are gonna go out to the sides a little bit. And then when you're ready, lift your hips up and 20 breaths. All right, drop your knees, come back to child's pose. So for my university students who are taking this class, I'm giving them a plank challenge, a 1 minute plank challenge. So yesterday was one 1 minute plank. Today was two 2 minute planks. Tomorrow will be 3 2 minute planks. You get the picture. So for those of you guys, university students who are watching, you just got a twofer. You got your 2 planks in today. So keep breathing. And if you want to keep up with the challenge, we're going to try to get 7 1 minute planks in by the end of the 7-day period, which doesn't mean you have to practice yoga postures for an hour and 15 minutes every day. You can just do your planks. See if you can do that though, just add on. All right, go ahead and come up and let's do one more series of hip openers. So we're gonna start with double pigeon and move into cow face. So take your left leg under, left shin might be roughly parallel to the front of your mat, but you may wanna bring that left foot back toward the right hip a little bit if you're tight. You take that right ankle on top. So shins in a perfect world are parallel to each other. But since this is not a perfect world and plenty of us have tight hips, some of us, the knees popped up, you may have to slide that left foot back toward the hip a little bit. If you're really tight or your knees are just grumpy, you can take that block in front of your left knee and put the right foot on the block in front of the knee. So you have some options. And then once you're here, bring the hands to the balls of the feet. And then if you're really tight in the hips, your challenge is just to sit up tall. This is your forward bend. If you feel pretty comfortable here and you feel like you can hinge at the hips, then go ahead and do so. And you're gonna press out with the balls of the feet and in with the hands just to help create some resistance here. So we turn this a little bit more into an eccentric stretch rather than isometric. And then breathe deeply into it. All right, come on out of this. Now we're gonna slide our knees closer together for cow face. So keep your strap nearby. Before you get into that, make sure your strap is nearby just in case. Then you're gonna slide that right knee over. You're going to try to roughly stack your right knee over your left knee. It may not be perfect or pretty, but do your best to just get them a little bit more stacked. And then we're gonna go to the left side first. You might wanna use a block. This is the easier side to stretch to, but the block is super helpful. So left hand to the ground to the block. Take that right arm up and gently drop your left elbow and get a nice side stretch here. Look up toward your right hand. Your right hip is going to roll off the ground a little bit. So it's going to roll up toward the ceiling and go left with you, and that's okay. So big inhales and big exhales. All right, and then come on up and we're gonna go to the other side. So this side is a little bit harder because your left hip is pinned down. So right hand to the block or to the ground, left arm over, and then see if you can drop that right elbow a little bit and look up towards your left hand. Notice it's a much more intense stretch since that left hip is pinned down by your right leg. All right, come on up and now take your strap. You're gonna go kind of wide at first, and notice how my hands are a lot wider than my shoulders. And then I'm going to bend my elbows and pull my shoulder blades together into my back. So my elbows are bent slightly, and then I'm pulling my elbows down and back behind me. So I'm getting a little bit of a front shoulder stretch and a bicep stretch here. Keep breathing, keep pushing out with the hands. You're trying to make the strap longer by pushing out, but then you're pulling the elbows down and toward your back. And then if you want to do a little bit of a forward bend here, hinge at the hips a little bit. That's not really the point though. You're just creating a little bit more space for your arms. And you can drop that left arm a little bit, that left elbow. If you want to get a little bit more into the front of the shoulder, you can drop that right elbow a little bit. If you want to get in front of that left shoulder a little bit more, so you can play with it a little bit. Now see if you can straighten your arms and extend the strap back behind you a tiny bit. So the arms aren't going to go totally straight. You're just extending back as if, so if you're looking at me, extend as if I'm trying to touch the wall or the doors behind me. Arms are not totally straight, but it's just giving me more of a bicep stretch and front shoulder stretch. All right, and then relax. Take the arms up and take them down. Okay, so next one, we're going to try to go for arms behind the back, but many of us still have a lot of tightness here. So if you know that your left shoulder rolls in when you do this posture, then you're going to go for one arm. So you're going to take that left arm behind you, Make a fist, interlace your fingers, bring that fist around to the right side so that you're rolling that left shoulder onto your back, and then you'll do your forward bend. If you feel like this left shoulder is not a problem and doesn't tend to roll in too much, then you take your right arm up and you may use your strap. And then you're gonna grab your fingers or your strap behind your back. And then lift your chin, super important, and then go for a forward bend. Whatever that forward bend looks like is fine. Just make sure your back is long and your chin and your chest are up. All right, come on out of it, and we're gonna do one more thing. So I'm gonna change directions just so you can see, but you're gonna stay right where you are. So you're gonna take your block, put it behind you, and then you're gonna put your right foot flat on the ground. So if you're flexible enough, you can put your right foot to the outside of your left knee. If you're a little tighter, foot goes to the inside of the knee. And then for those of you who maybe your knee is starting to get a little grumpy, you can also go for an extension with that bottom leg. So bring your right hand to the block behind you. That'll help you create a second spine here. Keep your right foot planted. It wants to pop up off the floor. And then take your left hand to your right leg, hug, lift and twist and look over your right shoulder. If you want to go a little bit deeper, make sure this right foot is still planted on the ground and isn't peeling up off the ground. And you can take your left arm to the outside of your right leg and gently press. Lift your spine and twist and look over the shoulder. There are some deeper variations of this posture, but I don't think that they're very appropriate for the morning. The body's a little bit tight, and usually you end up contorting yourself in ways that are not appropriate. So take about 3 breaths here. All right, come back to the center. Keep the legs. I'm going to switch directions so you can see what I'm doing, but keep everything from hips and legs. So that right foot is, again, it's either to the outside or inside. You're going to do a counter twist now. So you're going to twist to your left, take your hands wide, and then do the tiniest little push-up. You're just going to lean over as if you're about to bring your forehead to the ground. And then lift your left belly and drop your right rib cage. All right, and then come on up and let's go for the other side. So take your legs out in front. You may want to just windshield wiper them a little bit. And then let's go for right leg underneath, left leg over. Again, find your double pigeon so that right foot might slide closer to your left hip. Your left knee might be popping up a little bit. You may end up, if this is your tighter hip, and it probably is, you might want to put that foot slightly forward on a block. So once you're there, bring your hands to the bottoms of your feet, press the feet out, press the hands in, lift your chin, lift your chest. Again, sitting up really tall is a forward bend for the majority of us. If you've got a little extra flexibility in the hips, go ahead and do a forward bend, but keep in mind that your spine needs to stay long. So if you're doing a forward bend, but you're also rounding here, that's not doing you any favors. So keep your spine long, chest up, chin up. See if you can hinge at the hips, not in your mid-back. And then press those hands into the feet and vice versa. And take some big breaths. The hip muscles they just suck all the oxygen out of your body. They use a lot of oxygen. So the deeper and more efficiently you can breathe, the better. So big, deep inhales into the hips. Big exhales out. All right, let's slide the knees a little closer together. So try to get your left knee roughly stacked over your right knee. We're going to go to the easy side. You may want to use your block. So you're going to take your right hand to the block or to the ground. Take that left arm up and stretch over to the right hand side. See if you can drop your right elbow, look up into your left hand. Take some deep breaths here. come on up. Let's go for the other side. Left hand to the ground or the block. Right arm up and over. Look up into your right hand. Maybe drop your left elbow. And come on up. Okay, take that strap again. Let's go for this one more time. So grab your strap, arms or hands are a little wider than your shoulders, and then pull the strap back a little bit just to start opening up the shoulders, and then start drawing your shoulder blades onto your back. So your elbows are going to bend a little bit. Squeeze your elbows down and towards your spine. You feel those shoulder blades drawing together and down. Breathe deeply. And then let's do a little bit of a swing to the left, a little swing to the right, a little swing to the left, a little swing to the right. And just notice you can really feel those shoulder blades on your back as you do that tiny little twist to the right and left. All right, so same thing here. If you're pretty tight through the shoulders, then you're going to take your right hand around and you're going to clasp your hands together and bring your fist around to the left side for your forward bend. Otherwise, you can take the strap in your left hand and bring it over, and you can grab your strap or grab your fingers. So whichever one works best. And then lift your chin and then exhale, forward bend. And again, your forward bend may feel pretty shallow. That's okay. Just keep your spine long and your chin up. All right, come on up and release those arms, shake them out a little bit. All right, so you're gonna put your block behind you, and then you're gonna put your left foot flat on the ground. If this is just not gonna work, put your left foot to the inside of your knee. It's important to keep your foot flat. Then put your left hand on your block, hug your right knee, sit up tall. Your twist is gonna originate from the pelvis and go up. So lift, twist from the lowest part of the spine, and then twist and twist and twist, and look over your left shoulder. Keep your left foot planted in the ground. If it seems appropriate, you're pushing down really strongly through that block and getting some nice lift through the spine here, then you might want to take that right arm to the outside of the left leg and twist a little bit more. Don't forget to breathe. All right, counter twist. So you're going to take your arms over to the right and go wide with your hands. And then lift your right belly and drop your left rib cage and do a little tiny push-up as if you're trying to bring your forehead to the ground. All right, and then come on up and let's get a couple back bends in. So if you're dying to push up into a wheel off the ground, let's do one more gentle back bend first. So come onto your belly and then extend your arms out in front of you and extend your legs out. Get really long and just lift arms and legs. And we're going to change this up a little bit. So you're going to take your arms and legs out to the sides, lift as you're out to the sides, and then squeeze everything together and try to keep that lift. Don't forget to breathe. And then go back out to the sides and then lift, and then try to squeeze back to the center and keep that lift. Two more times. Lengthen out to the sides, lift, come back to the center, try to keep your lift. One more time, out the side, lift, try to keep the lift, come back to the center. All right, make a little pillow, turn your head to one side, Completely relax into the ground. All right, if you want to flip over and do a wheel, go for it. Otherwise, bend your knees, reach back, grab the tops of your feet. We'll do 2 of these, so if you can only grab 1 foot, do that. Squeeze into the midline, push your foot or feet into your hand or hands. All right, and then release, make another pillow, turn your head the other direction. And do 1 more back bend. So 1 foot or 2 feet at a time. Squeeze your legs in the midline and push. All right, and then release. Make a moment. Turn your head to one side. Just rest. Back bends are another one of those postures that you either love them or hate them. So if you are the latter category and are very frustrated by back bends, they are really good things to keep practicing since we tend to be attached to the easy things. All right, gently, if you're on your back, do a happy baby dead bug. If you're on your front, do a child's pose. Just get that back a little bit more stretched out. All right, and then last little bit. And I like ending the practice this way because it's a bit of an inversion. So you're getting that blood flow to your brain, but hamstrings also tend to tighten up your, back bends tend to tighten up your hamstrings. So you're gonna grab your right big toe. If you can't, use your strap. Extend your left leg. And then pull that right leg in gently. It's gonna come in to a sweet spot. There's gonna be a spot where it just doesn't come in anymore, which is fine. So you've got that right leg coming in, the left leg is gonna press down, left thigh down, left heel presses into the ground. And that pressing down with that left leg is going to dictate how far in this right leg comes. Then keep pressing that left heel into the ground and lift your head and shoulders and bow towards your right leg. And again, if you can't grab your foot, use your strap. All right, and then bring the head and shoulders back down. Take that strap into your right hand, bring your left hand to your hip, and slowly lower that right leg out to the side. So you're getting a little bit of an inner thigh groin stretch. Keep that left leg anchored down, left hip anchored down. If your left hip pops up, your right leg is dropping too low. All right, take that leg back up. You're going to switch hands on your strap or on your foot and take that right leg over to the left. So it shouldn't go really lower than parallel. Parallel is a pretty good place for it. And then stick your tailbone out because you're going to get this posterior tilt where your butt tucks under. Stick your tailbone out and maybe even take your right thumb into your right hip crease and tack your right hip crease away so you get a little space there between that right thigh and the hip area. All right, let's go for the other side. Take the left leg up, grab your foot or put your strap around the ball of your foot, press your right thigh down, right heel down, pull that left leg in. That right leg really does dictate how close that left leg comes in, and that's a good thing. Keep breathing. Keep pressing that right thigh down. And then lift your head and shoulders up and bow. Head and shoulders back down. Take that foot or strap into your left hand. Bring your right hand to your thigh. Keep pressing that right thigh and right hip down. And again, that will dictate how far that left leg goes. And look over your right shoulder. You can already feel yourself calming down, right? With this leg up above your head, your blood pressure is dropping. Lift your leg back up, switch hands, put your right hand on the strap or on the foot. Take your left arm out to the side, look over your left shoulder. Bring that left leg over. Parallel is really good. Higher than parallel is really good. Just don't let your leg drop down too much lower. And then take that left thumb into left hip crease, tack it away, and stick your tailbone out a little bit. All right, and then unwind. And find a Shavasana. If you like having a block under your hips or under your back, you can do that as well. Just take a moment of rest. Get the shoulders underneath you. Take a big breath in, big deep inhale. And then a big exhale through the mouth. We're going to do it one more time. This time when you exhale, you're going to stick out your tongue. Big inhale through the nose. Hold it for a moment. And then big exhale, stick out your tongue. And let that breath go back to normal. So if you want to stay here for a few more minutes, I highly encourage that you take another 5 or 10 minutes to stay in your Shavasana. But if you feel like you need to go, find a comfortable seated posture. And if you're still lying down, you can do this all mentally. And bring your hands up to your forehead for kind thoughts, down to your lips for kind words, and down to your heart center for kind intentions. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. And again, if being in Shavasana is a hard thing for you to do, then I highly encourage you to stay a little bit longer in Shavasana and see if you can take on that challenge. And I will sign off.